All right, we are recording. Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to episode 150. 150. Good Lord, I'm prolific. Conservatish. My name is Peter Feliciano. Find me on Instagram at Peter_Feliciano. I think while TikTok is still around, you can find me at Conservatish. And Patreon at patreon.com/conservatish. Or you can just Venmo me if you'd like at Peter-Feliciano to support my music and comedy. Feel free to go ahead and find my album. It's available everywhere. It's just my name. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, everybody, Zoe. Yay!
Yay! Happy to be here.
My first pregnant guest.
Well, you're first. See, that's a big deal. I feel super special.
How many months are you along?
7 months and 28 weeks. So.
And it's your first one?
Yes.
Okay.
Biologically, I have an 11-year-old stepson, but first to be growing in my person.
Is it what you thought it would be like?
Not at all.
Okay.
Everyone made it look so easy. There may be glowing, but you yourself feel like a potato all the time. There's pain. Your body changes in disgusting ways that you never anticipated. No one tells you the ugly truth.
I feel that way after I eat Domino's. I feel like a potato. I feel like my body is changing. I feel uncomfortable. My knees are swelling. It's a
Pregnancy
mess.
is basically the same as eating a whole Domino's pizza. You're absolutely right.
Except what's actually inside of you right now is technically like something good rather than Domino's, which is like cardboard with cheese on it.
Either way, it hurts coming out.
Yours was much better. I like that. Good job. Good job. Now, you and I know each other for a long time. Maybe 2014 is when we met, right?
Yeah, 2014 or 2015, around that time, back in SF.
Right, back in San Francisco. And I would love to talk to you about, I think dicks would be amazing. And for those of you who know my show are like, why is he going to talk about penises with a pregnant woman? No.
My favorite topic.
No. Right.
That's how I got here.
Right. But Dick's was a place that you and I worked at. It was my first serving job, and it sounds like it was yours too, right?
Yeah.
And it's a chain restaurant-ish. It's all over the country. And it's a place, how would you describe Dick's?
Described it as what? Service with sarcasm. That was like our training portal or module of it all. I think that it's every server's dream job. That's how I always described it, where you can totally just say whatever shit you want to say to whoever you want to say it to and not get in trouble and still get paid for it.
Right. I was not so much, although depending on the table, what my experience was, it was kind of, you would incorporate comedy into the, so it'd be like you entertain the guests or make fun of the guests at the same time as serving. Because we were located in Fisherman's Wharf, just to give everybody a backstory, we were only open for 6 months, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we bled like a stuck pig because when you're a server, when you're a restaurant, especially of that size, you have a lot of moving parts and you need a lot of money. But then, and to give 6 months to something just to see if it will work where it is and what it is, makes sense to have 6 months. But when you're in Fisherman's Wharf, which is tourist central, we were in the wrong spot for what we were, right?
100%.
I think we should have been in the Castro. What do you think?
Oh, that would have been a way better location because you have more of the locals that are there for the fun. On Fisherman's Wharf, like you said, tourist central, they're just coming in and they're like, these Americans are rude. Like, everything we read about them was right. They're horrible. They don't understand the whole premise of the restaurant.
Right. And I would have experiences where, you'd have people come in and you kind of give them the spiel at front, where you're like, okay, do you really want a Dick's experience or do you want just a regular serving experience? Would you do that too?
Yeah, always.
Right. What would you say the ratio of, okay, bring it the fuck on was versus, I don't know, I'm just here because you said it says chicken on the front. What would you say?
I feel like most people were willing to do it. although I did have a table who they were willing to do it, but this one guy, I think he just got really hangry and ended up snapping at me. And I was like, I asked you in the beginning if you were okay. And so from that moment on, I joked around with everybody else, but I was, what can I get for you? Do you need a refill? With him only, specifically, because I wasn't gonna. He called me a bitch. I was like, whoa,
Whoa.
I never called you a name, sir. Excuse me.
Do you remember what you said to him that snapped him?
It was, I think I finally brought out the food and I like handed it to him and he reached for it and I like grabbed it away. He was like, just give me my fucking food, bitch. And I'm like,
Yeah.
He had been waiting a long time. It was one of the high tickets, but still, I was just trying to make light of the situation. He just wanted his chicken.
Right. And the experience was, the normal spiel. They make little hats. I'm sure people have seen it on social media where people are wearing hats that say all kinds of foul, vulgar, rude things. I got away with incredible shit. I made a 9/11 joke once. It was wonderful. And because I had this table, I think that table was business people, and they were ready. They were four or five businessmen, and they were from Canada, and they were just ready to drink. They were like, yeah, fuck it, that, bring it on. And so I just especially this one Asian kid, dude, I just ragged on him the whole time, and everybody was loving it, and I think my 9/11 joke was like, well, I mean, this guy, this creep right here is the reason why. I mean, see something, say something. This motherfucker right here is the reason why 9/11 happened, and everyone's just laughing, and we're having a blast. My favorite table was once I had a bunch of also Canadians came in, a stag party. Do you know what a stag party is?
No.
It's like a bachelorette party, but for a lesbian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It can be bachelorettes too.
Yeah, I know, right? But it's when it's the more dykey of the two. Maybe that's why it's a stag party versus a bachelorette party. So they came down from I think it was Winnipeg, and I just beat the shit out of them. It was so much fun. And I won't finish that story. Let's just say something may have happened with one of the people later on.
So was it the bride?
What?
Was it the bride?
No. Very attractive to many lesbians. So
my favorite, I had like a foreign table. They were all from Germany. So we were talking, and I was like, about what they've done since they've been in America and all that. And I was like, do you guys like it here in America? And they're like, yeah, a lot of fun. And I was like, yeah, we're pretty great. That's why we won the war, and just walked away. They were busting up. They were really, really enjoying the experience, which was nice because I was like, that's a little, I don't know if that's too far, but they took it really well.
Yeah, you test the boundaries. You try to feel people out. What's great about any server position, obviously, you see where people are at and you try to feel their vibe. Some in a regular restaurant, some people just give me my food, don't talk to me. Other people are like, let's sit and hang out for a couple of minutes and talk about your babies and blah, 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 blah. So you feel everybody out. But with that, it's like, okay, I'm going to push this. And if you take this well, I'm going to fuck you up. It's so much fun. And they loved it.
Exactly.
And some people were, I think, from what I remember, you were much more on the angle of instead of, singing or entertainment, you were much more like snarky, sassy, tell you off.
Very much my personality. Just let me be myself. Absolutely. So many things. Putting Heaven's Waiting Room sign on old people's tables.
Right.
I told this one guy, because I was like, are y'all ready to order your drinks or whatever? And everyone else was like, no. And the old gentleman at the table closest to me was like, yeah, I'll take a Bud Light. I said, sir, I asked if everyone was ready. I'm not your hospice. Calm down. And like walked away. Like, I'm very much, listen, I'm a one and done. I'm not coming back 50 times to get you everything.
Do you feel like you were a funny person when you were a kid? Did you ever think about comedy? Like, what got you interested in this job specifically?
I went to a Dick's when I was 13 in San Diego, and I loved it. I thought it was hilarious, and I always said, if I'm ever living somewhere where it opens, I'm gonna work there. And then the moment I found out that they were working, I was actually working at the Hard Rock Cafe on Pier 39 at the time. And when I found out that they opened, my friend like texted me because I had mentioned it before, and I like ran over on my lunch break to fill out an application, and I knew that I wanted to do that. And then after working there, I have thought about doing a stand-up comedy. I act in my free time also, so I don't have a problem being in front of people, but I have a problem being myself in front of people.
Yep.
If that makes sense, because you're opening up yourself to judgment on you versus in a play, they're not judging me personally, they're judging my character. So it's a psychological thing. So I haven't done it yet, but it's on my bucket list for sure.
Right. Yeah, I thought about doing. I mean, when I was getting ready to do this show, and you've graciously listened to many of the shows, but that's kind of was a similar thing for me because it's like, okay, I can do an album, I can do music, I could be on stage singing like I'm Genuine or singing like from a perspective of some random person from the blah, blah, blah. But this hour and a half, sometimes some of my episodes have been like 3 hours long. This chunk is fully as me, no boundaries, no rules, no nothing.
Yeah.
And that's terrifying, especially when you don't have a very good personality like I don't. So like it's big. Have you ever, so you've never gone on stage, you've never like written anything, maybe?
I did poetry in college. That was easier for me to do for whatever reason. Spilling out my entire heart was a lot easier than doing comedy. I don't know why. But no comedy, not yet anyway. I was looking into it actually with a friend of mine. We both like made a pact to do it, and then COVID happened. So I was like, this is a sign that I'm not funny. Basically, God's like, don't put yourself out there.
You would have been. There have been. I know Ali Wong did a special pregnant. I think maybe last year before, but that would have been.
That's wonderful. I loved that whole segment.
Right. So yeah. Do you remember specifically besides that one? I mean, I've definitely I've stayed in contact with a few of the guests from Dick's. I think I told you the story, but I'll quick run through it. There was somebody who came down from the Northwest who had some health issues, going to a hospital in San Francisco, and her friends came to Dick's, and they were just having a rough day, and they were like, "Yeah, let's go to Dick's. We know what it is. We're gonna have fun. Let's go." So they came in, and we were, me and another server, just tag teamed them, just double teamed them, and just not just made fun of them, but had fun. And that's the atmosphere of like if you're in a sports bar and a bartender is like getting people drunk and having fun with them or whatever.
Yeah. Then
you also throw in that you can say absolutely anything that you fucking want. And it's so much fun. Because then literally at least one titty came out. You know what I mean? Like, and this was a sad, somber, we're going to the hospital type of day. And then a titty comes out. Someone got motorboated. Like it was a wonderful time. So I've stayed in contact with a couple of those people. I've definitely, obviously, stayed in contact with some of the servers from there. I do actually have a question. It's interesting to me too, because there's a weird little not seedy, but there's definitely an underbelly in the serving world in San Francisco. There's it's very incestuous. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of people that, I work for Hard Rock, and then I worked for Cheesecake, and then I worked for Dick's, and then I worked for it's a weird little world that I didn't really get involved with, because by the time I was working at, I think I was like 27, 28. So I was already out of that world, the high school, oh my gosh, let's find out what sex is type of world. But it's a weird little world, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. A world I'm familiar with. You've been there, done that.
Yeah. Quite literally. Do you feel like it was something that you were prepared for? How old were you when you started working for Hard Rock?
19 when I worked from Hard Rock. Didn't do anything there. It started, I was 19, yeah.
Okay.
Didn't do anything. I was just a host, and I don't think that I dabbled in anybody.
I don't think it came out. I was just a hoe, is what it sounded like because of
yeah, well, that too. Not at the Hard Rock, but as soon as I came over to start serving at Dick's, there was a few from there, and then I went on to Joe's Crab Shack, and there were a few more, and then I came to Sacramento, Joe's Crab Shack, there were a few more. Listen, when you spend so much time, the only options I had was either coworkers, managers, or meeting strangers at bars, and I just feel safer at least hooking up with someone that I know.
Right. I love. One time there was this manager, and I love the really. I mean, it was another tile in the rich mosaic of my sexual knowledge and things. But it's always the really buttoned up ones, and the really like I'm very controlled. The women who are very like I'm a manager, and I'm very who want their hair wrapped around some fucking fists. Like it's always the really put together ones. There was one who was a manager at Cheesecake Factory who hooked up with like probably like a 19-year-old cook. You know what I mean? Like with that face.
Yeah.
It's so interesting to me. Humanity wise, it's so interesting to me how sex works in those weird little environments.
I think it's a power dynamic too, especially when it's a female manager and a male employee. I feel like there's a little bit of a power dynamic there. That's like, I'm your boss and you can't tell anybody, and this is exciting, or vice versa too. Because regardless, if you're fucking your manager, you can't tell anybody. You're not supposed to, but you end up telling everybody because everybody ends up knowing. There's no secrets in the server world.
Right. As much as I would have liked to like jump into some of that, I had my own little, I would meet, girls at bars or whatever, but I'm sober, so I wouldn't be that type of, I don't really like kissing girls when they have booze in their mouth. Like it's just, no, thank you. Especially because I don't know if you know this, but when you're not drunk and the person you are trying to hook up with it's a little pathetic. Like it's a little like. Not so much like I was pathetic, but like girls who are just like, yeah, let's get out of here. It's just like, you're boring. Like, I don't want to be here. Like, this is, did you ever see Unbreakable, Kimmy Schmidt?
I've seen a few episodes.
Yeah, there was
not a huge fan.
No, there was one where they were talking about these are all like college kids and they're all drunk. It's like, they're all preschoolers, like learning how to, you know what I mean? Like drunk preschoolers.
Yeah.
Is how it is. You said a bad word. I should text him, and girls taking the phone away. No, don't text him, and the blah, blah, blah. It's just high school shit. And I'm grateful to have missed a lot of that. But
yeah, we get that way. I feel like we revert back in age when we're drunk for sure. But you got to keep it classy, If you're going there with the insight to hook up with somebody, you have to manage how much you drink, because you don't want to be the sloppy one either. You got to have still a little bit of a chase.
But right,
it's hard to get. But you're gonna go. But you gotta play it cool.
Here's another thing that's interesting with girl dynamic. There's always one, maybe multiple, cock blocks. There's always one who's like a little bit like, no, don't text that guy. And sometimes it's good for you to not text that guy or not text that ex or not text that whatever. But sometimes there's girls who just don't want, they came with their friends or they came with that friend specifically. And they almost like we're going to keep each other good. We're going to be good girls tonight. And I'm going to stop you from going home with this dude. Not necessarily even for like a safety thing, but there's almost like this undercurrent of, I know what's best for her. Why do you think that happens? Like, is it a verbal thing? Do you tell each other we're gonna stay good today?
No, I don't know. First of all, I hate those friends. They're annoying. You're getting in my way. I think that a part of it might have to do with a little bit of jealousy. Like if one girl at the bar is getting hit on or drinks being bought for her multiple times and this other friend isn't. I feel like there's a little bit of that, especially when you go out just the two of you, because I have been on the both ends of that, where I have met somebody, so my friend kind of feels neglected because it's just the two of us, or she's met somebody and then I kind of feel neglected, like I'm gonna go home, like I'm not having a good time anymore. So I think that it definitely depends. I've never had a sit down conversation and was like, I mean, I've had the safety conversation, don't let me get in a car with someone drinking, don't let me go home with a stranger or whatever, but never, it's a girls' night. Fuck guys. Never had that. But I feel, like I said, a little bit of jealousy, maybe.
Have you ever checked in with them afterwards? Like, hey, you didn't let me go home with that guy, and I actually think we would have had a lot of fun. What happened? Like, did you ever check in afterwards?
I'm definitely not afraid to be like, listen, I'm gonna do this. So I've never allowed somebody to get in my way in that regard either. I have had a friend do that with me, and I was like, well, listen, he was creepy. He was way too touchy. You looked uncomfortable. Like, I read your body language, and I assessed your ability to make your own decisions because you were so wasted. So that's my reasoning. You know, you got his number. Give him a call if you really think it's going to work out. But I try to really stay in control when I'm drinking. I don't like being out and being so drunk that I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. It's so interesting how we all go into these different. You okay?
She's kicking. Sorry. It's a weird feeling.
I'm sorry we're talking about your mom having sex. I apologize.
No, she's like, stop being a slut, Mom. Sorry. It's a different time. You'll never.
Right. How that, because on the dude perspective, anybody, obviously, because of, and this is maybe a good transition into some of the other topics that I think we should talk about. But it's interesting because we are much more the pursuer, right? We're much more the, okay, we're going to push things along, or not push, but like move things along and try to make a move and try to get the number and get the, and then, so we're all like real ass motherfuckers anyway, will big up somebody who's going to get some pussy, right? We're not going to be anybody who's like, no, I don't think, like, there's never a guy who's like, not never, I'm sure, but like, there's extremely rarely a guy who's like, oh, that girl looks like a creep, don't go home with her. They're like, do your thing, man. No, we'll talk later. We don't even need to check in with each other. We'll just, you know, if you want to text me, you know, whatever she sent you tomorrow, that's cool. You know, like
right.
But like, there's never that type of thing. So,
the safety component is different for men versus women. You know what I mean? You could take home a 5'3" or 5'3" woman. You know, even if she's crazy, she could only do so much. You know, if I take home a 200-pound dude and shit gets bad, I'm not in a safe position at that point. And it's a different targeting aspect in that.
Right. If you're willing to, and you don't need to necessarily go into specifics, but you've had bad experiences with guys who have gotten, let's say, who have maybe made you feel unsafe?
Oh, definitely. I'm going to San Francisco State. I got roofied at a frat party once. Nothing bad happened, thank God, but I've had like a sip of beer and a shot, and I was like blacked out drunk. I've never been so drunk in my life, and thank God my friends were good friends. I was like, we gotta go and let them know what's going on, and they had to literally like carry me back to my apartment, and I threw up for 15 hours the next day. It was horrible. Could have been so much worse. I've been followed to my car leaving bars. The overly aggressive dudes, like if I tell you I'm not interested, I don't get hit on a lot when I'm at bars because I don't put out that wall of acceptance of it. And I'm also not going to let you buy me a drink if I'm not interested. Go waste your money on somebody that will go home with you. It's not me. I don't want to sit here and talk to you. You know what I mean? But the overly persistent people that want to get handsy or grab you, I've walked to the bathroom and had somebody grab me by the arm and like pull me back, like don't touch me. There's so many, especially I think when alcohol gets involved. I don't think that all of these men are necessarily bad people. I think that the alcohol makes them not think about what they're doing as bad or as uncomfortable or as pushy. I don't think there's any girl out there that hasn't been in a situation where they have felt weird or unsafe or just that gut feeling that something is wrong.
Right. Have you, and checking in with the girlfriends afterwards, that obviously probably happens, and you have some ride or die bitches who are friends with you now who like, you know, like, yes, we're ready to on
Always.
experiences. And maybe not before, maybe afterwards, maybe where along the line did you feel like, okay, I need to make sure that I'm not in a position that just because I don't have my girlfriends with me or whatever, but I need to protect myself.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
What I mean is, like, where along the line did you realize, you know what, I would like to have some fucking weaponry? Like, do you understand what I mean? Like, where along the line where you're like, okay, I don't have my girlfriends with me, but even if I do have my girlfriends with me, I want to be able to protect myself.
You know, it's crazy because me being a server, I was a server for 10 years and always a closing server. And I would walk back to my car dark as shit, 2:00 in the morning with hundreds of dollars in my bag and have nothing to protect me. It never even crossed my mind. Even though weird shit, cars stopping when they shouldn't be, things have happened to me. It wasn't until I think that I got pregnant that I had this like urge to be protected because I'm now responsible for another person. And it dawned on me that I'm tired of rearranging my lifestyle to be safe. I'm tired of changing my outfit before I go to the grocery store. I'm tired of not being able to go get gas in the middle of the night if I need it, or go to the grocery store if I need something after dark, especially when the sun goes down at fucking 6:00. I still don't feel comfortable at 6 p.m. You know, what bad is out there, but it's there. And I just got tired of feeling like a victim when I wasn't and I shouldn't be. So I was like, fuck this, man. I don't ever want anyone to feel that way, and I don't want to feel that way. And I don't want, we have a talk as little girls. Our parents tell us all these different ways to avoid getting raped or kidnapped or murdered. And I don't feel like boys necessarily have that discussion on how not to rape or kill or murder people or kidnap people. And I was tired of the hypocrisy of it. Like, why am I being told not to dress a certain way, but they're not being told that no means no, you know?
Right. Yeah, there are definitely shades. Let me address that real quick, because I feel like I have been a little boy, and I also have 3 brothers. We never had a sit-down conversation about not raping girls because that's, I think, natural.
Right. It's something you assume. Yeah.
Right. I think where the culture, where the conversation, or where the learned behavior comes from is on the other end. Meaning, there are some cultures, South Africa, Middle East, a little bit of India. There are some cultures where it's not like they tell their little boys, go ahead and rape, but they prove through their actions that, don't, maybe not do that, but if you do, there's not really consequences,
Right.
And, I mean, when people in the Middle East, are stoning women to death in the streets because she cheated on her husband, without any trial, not that would make it better, but like,
right.
where that's happening, there's a learned behavior, a learned classist type of, we're better than them, right? So for me, we never were told, because I think just naturally we understood you shouldn't hurt people. Now, I don't personally, I think all humans have the capability, the capacity to hurt motherfuckers, and we do it on different levels all the time. Even all our interpersonal relationships. Yeah, I said that thing when I shouldn't have said that thing, or I texted that thing, or I did that, that little cut to your ego, that little whatever. We all have those things, especially with those we are most close to. But as far as the conversation not happening with little boys, it's more part of it is the alcohol thing, and also part of it, I think, is just, I think psychopath kind of has to come in a little bit. Psychopath, I don't know what you would necessarily call it, and I don't think 10% of men are just fucking psychopaths, but maybe they test boundaries, and the conversation is necessarily had of like, here's where the boundary is, or like, no, you're not supposed to do that, right? It was kind of put in different angles where like Louis C.K. one time had this bit where he's like, boys will destroy your house, and girls will destroy your mind. You know what I mean? Like where we'll knock shit over and girls will just mental gymnastics ninja murder you and make you feel small, even though they're little girls.
It's part of our training.
Part of our, but I think it's part of our nature too, probably.
Yeah.
Right. So part of what happens when there's consequences is that that culturally gets tamped down a little bit. That society-wise, we learn, okay, let's rein this boy in a little bit. Let's not kill his spirit for adventure or kill his spirit for physicality or kill his spirit for, knocking shit over all the way. Let's just rein that shit in. I think the same thing happens for little girls. We're like, okay, let's just, in high school, it's just like, many girls, will commit suicide because they've been ousted from the group, or there's gossip, or their nudes get out, or all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
Right? So let's rein that. Let's societally rein that shit down. Let's tamp that down a little bit. Let's not kill the spirit, but let's tamp that down a little bit. I don't know exactly. Maybe that's not an answer, but I guess I hope it adds to the conversation.
Well, yeah, and it definitely also depends on the definition of rape. Not all rapes are the strapping her down, putting duct tape around her mouth, and violently attacking her. There's also the consent issue, that she's too drunk, that she's passed out, the many different ways, and that's where it gets touchy, because I don't believe in using rape as like buyer's remorse, like when you do something that you didn't want to do, but you were aware that you were, you agreed to do it, but then you woke up sober and you're like, I would have never slept with him if I was sober. I hate that. And it gives us a bad name, and it doesn't make us look as credible. But, back in the 80s, it was perfectly legal to rape your own wife. Like what you said, society, yes, we have touched down and brought down the definitions of rape and versus what it used to be. Like you can actually rape your wife and it's still a crime and you shouldn't do that. So we're getting there. I think that we need to have more of an open communication with our kids about what consent is, teaching it at a young age. I was a preschool teacher for some time, and I'd be like, hey, Billy, did Sally say that you could play with her toy? Did you ask her if that was okay? Did you get her consent? Not even about sex, but teaching them what consent means from a very early age. I think that we could make a better society for our children.
Right. What do you think about this idea too? Because I've talked about consent a number of times on the show, and and we don't necessarily need to go deep into it necessarily or revamp all the shit I've already said. I'd like to pick your brain about it a little bit, because it is with people who are minded for protection like you are. Let's talk about that. You've kind of worked on being an entrepreneur around certain things. I don't know if you necessarily want to plug it, but you've worked on protecting yourself and other women.
Yes. I am an independent damsel pro for Damsel in Defense, which the whole mission behind that is to equip, empower, and educate women. So that's something that I feel personally about. All of these, multi-level marketing companies, some people are passionate about makeup, so they sell that. Could care less. Some people are passionate about healthy products, so they sell that. I'm passionate about staying fucking alive. So right. I'm selling that because that's important. So yeah, super into, not dying. That makes sense.
And so some of your products obviously help when shit's already popping off, right?
Yeah. It's up to you to stay vigilant, and try to stay ahead of the situation. But if, sometimes you can't always, sometimes you're distracted. Sometimes you can't see an attack coming. So you have these for that reason.
Right. Yeah, as a big boy, I've never really had to worry about that. I've had to worry about physical altercations. I've had to worry about somebody testing my shit to see if I'll stand up to them, and then therefore, if I don't stand up to them, then it's called the punk test. We're like, okay, now I know, since you didn't. It's a sometimes, especially women will be like, well, why do you need to defend your manhood? It's like, it's not necessarily me defending my manhood. It's not necessarily a pissing contest. Sometimes it's people looking to find where the boundary is. And once they've already found that you don't have a boundary, now they can say, give me your fucking wallet.
Right.
or I'll get a physical altercation. But if I can already tell in your spirit that you're afraid of getting punched in the face, then I know no matter what barking you start now, it's too late. I already know you have no bite.
Right.
I'm going to take it from you. I also want to point out, by the way, and that wolves are necessary. Okay, you know what I mean? Like it's a weird analogy I'm about to make, and I don't know if it's fully fleshed out.
Okay.
Wolves are necessary, but abusers are not wolves. They're sheep with fangs. Okay, yep. Abusers are not wolves. They're sheep with fangs. A real ass motherfucker who's sure of himself, who's masculine, who's confident, is not going to hurt a girl. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So the idea of toxic masculinity, it's a very complicated issue. We should be talking about it, but it's not, the definition has gotten way out of proportion in my personal opinion. The idea that guys will talk shit to each other on the court, the idea that guys need to hit on girls, you know what I mean? And that shouldn't be, you know what I mean? Like the idea of consent, you know, the idea that consent means always getting enthusiastic. Yes, you can kiss me. Like I've talked to a lot of girls who don't want a guy to say, "Oh, pretty please." You know what I mean?
Yeah. Agreed. I say you take it as signs. If you lean in to kiss me and I pull away, don't try again. That was me being like, not interested. If I kiss you back, fair game, you know? If you put your hand on my boob and I don't remove it, it's safe to say that we can move to the next step and see where I personally draw the line. The whole, can I kiss you? Do I have your consent? Can you sign this non-disclosure agreement? You know, it's ridiculous. And that's not necessary. It's about reading someone's boundaries. What you said, read the boundaries and act accordingly. Body language will tell you everything about women. We are all about body language. You can tell when we're being nice and, you know, humoring you, but aren't really interested. You know, we sit cross, we will fidget, we might still hold the conversation, but we won't make direct eye contact because we're afraid of being rude. As women, we are taught not to be rude to people that make us feel uncomfortable. So there's all kinds of other signs. And that's what you really got to do. Don't ask me if you can kiss me. I'll be like, well, now that you asked.
Right. Fuck off.
Really
right.
Right. Have you ever kissed a girl before? Am I your first? Like, what do you mean?
My lady, here is a rose. You ever heard of this thing called Demi Sexual? You know, there's pansexual and homosexual and heterosexual. Apparently, demisexual is people who can only have sex with somebody that they have feelings for. Now, I respect everybody's right to blah, blah, blah. But if you're a guy and you're like that, I feel a little bit like you just haven't had enough sex. Like I just feel this undercurrent of dishonesty. I'm not saying, because at this point in my life, I've gotten a number of, I've had an epic sexual career, but, and I'm certainly not closing the door, but especially because of COVID and because of quarantine and because of, like, I am mentally in the space where I'm not chasing it right now. You know what I mean? I'm getting what I need to get, but I'm not chasing. I'm not going on fucking out to clubs or out to bars or I'm not asking a lot of girls out right now because I'm preparing myself. I'm 34. And because of my goals and stuff, I'm kind of putting myself in a position where I'm making my mental house ready to find like my bitch. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, down ass, you know, because as you know, I've got a comedy career, I've got music, I've got podcast, I've got stuff going on and mental stuff. I've got big ass goals, and I don't have time in the day to worry about having a conversation with a girl who I didn't text back right now because I'm just not that fucking interested. I'm not desperate for the shit right now. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, you know, I feel like there's a dishonesty when it comes to men who are trying to nice their way into some pussy rather than just being like, I'm going to make a move. If I may get rejected, but I'm going to make a move. You know what I mean? There's a nice way to make a move. And all men are guilty of this. We're like, I'll write you a poem like in high school, or may I kiss you? It's not malicious dishonesty, but it is dishonesty. And I think most women, especially the older ones, you know, past like 19, 20, can smell something wrong, and that makes them go, makes them, you know.
There's definitely a right and a wrong way. You can hit on a woman in the right way, but still be nice about it, not like a pussy, like,
right.
Versus, telling me that I'm beautiful. You have the most beautiful eyes I've ever seen. Can I buy you a drink? No, I don't. My eyes are brown. The most beautiful eye color. They're the most common eye color.
I have brown eyes, don't I? I think I have brown eyes.
Yeah, but they're not. Don't tell me they're the most beautiful things you've ever seen. Like, you're a liar. Now, if you say, "Oh my God, that band on your shirt, I fucking love them. I saw them over here," I'll be like, and now I'm interested in having a conversation with you because you're being real with me. You mentioned that you know some of their music, so I know that you're not totally full of shit. We can have a conversation and see where the chemistry goes. Women know if they're interested within the first 15 seconds of a conversation. Those first 15 to 30 seconds really matter.
Yes, and I will add something to that, though. Because I have many times, I'll say me and a girl, not at like a bar or whatever the fuck, but like we're on our first date, and I'll go in for a kiss, and they'll be like, not like pull away, like, what do you mean? Because we've all had that, and girls, I'm not saying that you need to fuck everybody or kiss anybody. Don't do nothing you don't want to fucking do. But don't act like if we're on a date and I go in for a kiss, don't be like, how dare you? That's stupid. That's child's play. Like, I'm 30 fucking 4. I don't have time. Not that it's happened recently, but you know what I'm goddamn saying. Anyway.
Sometimes we just gotta eat, Peter. No, I'm just kidding.
A wolf's gotta.
Okay. Sometimes we're broke. No.
Right. But I've had times where I go in for a kiss and she doesn't pull away, but it's like does the whole turn the head thing where like it's more of a if you can put it into words, it's more of a no, not right now. Like I'm not sure. And then sometimes a half hour, you're starting to feel it again. There's a weird conversation, and then you go in again, and then it's a kiss. So that's where I'm going to the consent idea. I'm not saying like a no means fucking no, but sometimes it gets complicated. It gets human sexuality is a little fucking weird.
I know for me personally, I might kiss on a first date, but if I actually like the guy, that's where it stops. I won't sleep with a guy on the first date if I actually like him. If I'm like attracted to him, but I don't see it going anywhere, then, whatever happens. I don't have that restraint necessarily already built in, but I'm not going to give the goods to somebody that I actually want to see again. I want to pursue again.
The good. It's almost as bad as talking about yourself in the third person. Zoe doesn't give up the good.
Okay. My body is a temple and I am a flower. No. But you know what I mean? Like there's been many times where I will draw it as a kiss because I want that second date. If I give in, you may or may not call me back. I may or may not see you again. I got to leave a little level of mystery so that we can see where this could go. So that could be the thing too, not them not kissing you, like the instance where you tried, it was kind of like shy, and then things kind of progress and get hot and heavy later on. It's because of the first, if I like you and you keep pursuing me, then maybe eventually I'll be like, okay, we've spent long enough. We'll see where this goes. But it could be that too, because that's totally my MO. It's like I really like you, and I'm not gonna go further.
Right. It's interesting, though, because as a word to the complicated idea, as there are some girls who I've hooked up with on the first time and definitely seen them many times after, even though maybe like date 3, I'm realizing like I don't really like relationship necessarily, but this is great. This is going to be a fun couple months. We're going to have a lot of fun. And there's even been chicks who I've hooked up with for a long time who I was never in a labeled thing with, who I will love to the day I die, and she loves me to the day I die. You know what I mean? Like there's a friendship and a closeness and, whatever. But as a guy, as me personally, because I can only speak for me, but I am actually more, I am actually more attracted to somebody the less rules they have like that. Even though that makes sense that you're trying to like, I don't want to be, because a lot of guys can be, you know, high school ass motherfuckers. Oh, she already gave it up, so I'm whatever.
Right.
But there are many men who are mature enough to like, okay, good, she's giving it up quick. I don't have to like lie in my head. Not just lie, and it's again not a malicious thing, but like when I'm distracted with, am I sitting the right way, and am I talking the right way, and am I bringing it? Did I pay for the check quick enough? Like, did I, you know, blah, 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 blah. If I'm not distracted with that because I've already shot my load, and I don't necessarily mean literally, but if we've already fucked, then I'm like, okay, now I can kind of gauge better like personally. I can kind of gauge better at like, do I like talking with this person? Is this person somebody who I'm actually chemistry wise? I don't know why it works, and it does seem it's unfair that we've been that we're ships in the night here,
right?
Boys. But that's kind of how it works for me and for a lot of the guys I know. You know?
No, that's very interesting because I never even thought about your guys' point of view in regards to this at all. That's not where my brain goes. I don't know how to think like a man. I think it also depends on who you are. Like, I don't lie on a first date. I'm always very authentically me, and I have a bad habit, which gets me into trouble sometimes as well, where I treat somebody like I've known them for years when I just met them. Some people love it, and some people hate it. But on a first date, you know, that's why I am able to pick up on me being real. Has that made you be real as a man? Has that, you know, or are you still kind of robotic in your conversation and actions? And are you nervous? And can we joke around? Can we talk about some obscure shit? Like, do we mesh in that way? Because I don't have time either. I mean, I'm in a relationship. I'm off the market. I done did my thing. But that's how me and my man met too. We just met at a bar and started a genuine conversation. And almost 2 years later, we're starting a family, you know?
Awesome.
I'm very fast with it. I know if I want to waste my time or not. I love being in relationships. I don't like wasting my time. I'm typically always in a long-term relationship, even if it doesn't work out. I know from the beginning whether or not it's going to develop into something, or if we're going to be friends. Because I have a lot of friends too that I have hooked up with that I still speak to, that they'll be my brothers till the day I die too, you know? That sounded weird, but you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I guess it goes to that definition topic. And how you doing on time, by the way?
I'm fine.
Okay.
I'm chilling.
All right. It speaks to the definition idea because there are a lot of times, what was the word you used? You said something about being genuine, being authentic. If I'm being real, like you said, if I'm being real, giving space for him to be real. Sometimes real doesn't look nice. Now, sweet, absolutely. Sweet enough to not be a dick, or at least not a dick, like, I mean, kind of a dick, but kind of not a dick. Meaning, like, this is, I mean, a lot of the girls I mesh well with the chemistry for some reason, especially just the natural way I am. And you maybe know this from, you know, working with me, but also from listening to my fucking show, is that I'm a bit big-mouthed. I'm a bit very outspoken, right? Sometimes I will say, if I'm being genuine and I have a safe place to be myself, sometimes I say some off the wall shit. You know what I mean? Sometimes I want to talk about women, or want to talk about this, or want to talk about race, or whatever. And I can feel out where that's appropriate and where that's not appropriate. But as far as the word to the genuineness, I don't necessarily want to talk about a fucking band with a girl. You know what I mean? Like, unless I know that's just an example, whatever.
Right. I don't wear band t-shirts. It's just the first thing that came into my head.
Come on, you're a basic white girl sometimes. We all are. I just fucking Uggs and a Nirvana t-shirt. But there's, you know, everybody's got a different definition of what real is. And a lot of people's real, I'm not interested in at all. You know what I mean? A lot of people's, the colloquial definition of, let's talk about your brothers and sisters. And let's talk about, like, meaning, I've heard it put this way. Sometimes a girl will say that they're not attracted to a guy because he doesn't challenge her. You ever heard that?
Oh, yeah.
So challenge, not like, be a dick, but challenge meaning he's simple, like not, you know what I'm saying? Like he's too fucking, he's kind of goddamn boring. And that's one thing I'm not, thank God. But like by the strictest cultural American current definition of sweet, it might not be. You know what I mean? The conversation me and a girl might have. Maybe not at a bar, depends on the conversation, depends on the situation. I'm not a dick, but sometimes I'll make a fucking joke that on paper a girl would say she wouldn't laugh at, but all of a sudden she's laughing. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's complicated. And so I like questioning those definitions. I like questioning those ideas,
Yeah, that just seems like a giant waste of fucking time to me, though. Like, don't hide yourself, or definitely boundaries. Let's tie it back to dicks real quick. That's where I learned how to read people really well and assess the situation of how far I can go. Because of course I can come off as a lot when you first meet me, and some people I can feel if their energy is into that or not. But I'm not gonna sit here and tiptoe around my jokes, my sense of humor, my this, my that, because eventually 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9 dates down the line, you're gonna realize this about me. And if you don't like it then, I just wasted 9 weeks of my time. If you find me hilarious day one, you think that what I have to say resonates with you, and we agree on whatever topic we're talking about, then we can move forward. I have zero time to play those games, and I think that guys should do that too. And yeah, you might get guys, I feel, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like a lot of them are like fishing in the open sea. They're just throwing out their poles into the ocean and seeing what they catch, and then wonder why they're single. If we're doing, and I know that guys, especially when they're younger, they want to be single, and then they get to the point where maybe they do or do not want to settle down. But I feel like if you're casting out more high quality locations, you're gonna catch better fish.
Absolutely. And like I said, that's kind of where I'm at now. I want quality. I'm gonna like to be as crude, not as crude, but to be a little bit crude. I would love to take a 42-year-old's brain and put it in a 19-year-old's body. That would be perfect.
That'd be the dream.
Who's mentally mature, and unfortunately that doesn't happen, but an elastic pussy, And don't get me wrong, MILF girls, I love you too, but like,
they have surgeries for that, Peter.
Oh, you know what? Let me give a quick insight. And I only speak for myself, and I've had a lot of vagina. I don't really know what this whole idea of stretched out pussy really looks like. I'm saying that elastic vagina, like where it's, the ass is, up and the titties and the blah, like that's the colloquial, the body. I don't know why these guys are like, oh, she's probably loose. Like, we're not really worried about, I've never really felt, and I've been with lots of moms, like I've never really felt like a pussy is loose for my dick. I don't know about you.
Good to know. I appreciate that. That's a little bit of a worry of mine. I'm like, I'm pushing a human out of my body. Is it over for me? Is the game done? Did I lose? What's going on there? I don't know. I've never had issue in that department. I have friends that get Brazilians and waxes, and oh my god, I have to shave before this date and I have to do this, and I'm like, I've never had anybody where they've caught me off guard and I wasn't prepared, turned me down because I wasn't delicate looking down there at the moment. You know what I mean? So I've never had an issue.
No. Now, can I give you a little quick insight there? Because as far as finding the worlds, right? Now, I was talking more about like, the feeling inside. A lot of guys, that's the, oh, she's loose or she's tight. As far as if I'm on a first date with a girl and we're getting hot and heavy and I take off her pants and I look down, like, okay, let me rephrase that. Because sometimes, maybe on the first date, we're not putting our mouths on each other's genitalia. Could there be a colder way I could say that? We're not talking, right? Or maybe it's just like a zippers down, quick hand job before, and then no, I gotta go, and then okay, it's fine. But if I go down on her the first time and there's hair, it's, maybe on top is fine, but like hair on like the lips, the type of hair where you have to like, you need a machete to cut through.
Like 1970s bush going.
I'll do what I need to do because I'm not a bitch. I'll find the clit and I'll put my mouth. But I will. It does speak to unconsciously, subconsciously. It speaks to, okay, do I really actually want to go on date number 2 or date number 3 or date number 4 on there? Because, okay, maybe like you're unprepared. I go down there. Okay, whatever. The moment.
Let me just say that me being unprepared doesn't mean I haven't shaved in 6 months. It means maybe this week I didn't do it yet. And you caught me off guard. I just want to go on record that that's not what I'm working with. That is a completely different situation. Those girls don't shave their armpits either. And to each their own, do you? But that's not me.
Oh, God, that's funny. Just my friends, I have a bald vagina. Okay, that's what.
Okay.
But no.
A 5 o'clock shadow sometimes. That's as far as it goes.
Now, but like you said, you do you. There are some girls who have that definition of doing them means I don't need to try. Bullshit.
At all, yeah.
Bullshit. Sorry, but I mean, like that whole the definition thing. There's some people who are fat activists who, and listen, I'm big on. I mean, I'm a fat boy. I'm a big boy. I've had times where I was over 300 pounds. And self-love is very important. Absolutely. Love yourself as you are. But why would I want to invest time, i.e. dating somebody who's not taking care of themselves, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not like, oh, he doesn't, he's rejecting girls just because they got a bush. Like, it's like, it speaks to if you're trying or you're not trying, you know what I mean? Just wax the shit.
It also speaks to different lifestyles.
Sure.
That's not the same lifestyle as you versus, the hippie type people that just dye their armpit hair bright pink and stuff. There's somebody out there for everybody. So there's someone out there that's going to love that bush. You're just not it. And that's fine. That's okay.
I would even, but there are some, I've heard from some, let's say, heftier white girls who are tired of getting only hit on by black guys. Let's be real. Black guys love that shit. It depends on, just because you're doing you doesn't mean you're going to, someone will find it attractive. Doesn't mean the people you find attractive will find it attractive. Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, do you. There's somebody for everybody. But if you're not getting the quality, caliber, whatever you want to call it, the type of person hitting on you or staying with you that you want, there is something you can do to change that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. There is.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of something, but you're right. I mean, I don't feel like anybody should have to change themselves for who, but it does make it harder to find what you're looking for. But at the same time, stop giving in to the people you don't like. I'm still holding out for Zac Efron. I'm waiting for him to give me a ring, but it's not always going to happen.
Right.
But I'm also not giving the time of day to gentlemen that I'm not interested in either. Just because that's my only options, I'm fine. I got my own little devices that I can get my what I need off. I don't need no man that I don't want.
Right. I guess it's not so much the idea that like we need to change for somebody, but if I just let myself go and think I'm going to get, fine.
Yeah.
That's, like, I always kind of sometimes say we all just know, there was something I saw the other day. Some friend of mine shared it with me and said like something about like why certain sexual preferences are racist. I'm like, bitch, I know my body. Like you're saying for girls, don't have sex with somebody you don't want to have sex with. Why the fuck would I need to have sex with somebody who has a pee-pee if I don't want to have sex with somebody who has a pee-pee? Or if I know my body, like for some reason, I can absolutely be attracted to black girls or Asian girls, but for some reason, I'm more attracted to like a white 6 than an Asian 9. For some reason, I don't know what it is. I didn't put that shit in my body. I didn't put that. A lot of the movement these days is like, oh, Kim Kardashian type of ass. I don't want a Kim Kardashian type of ass. No, thank you. Give me a skinny white girl all fucking day. For some reason, that's just the way.
Because of quality over quantity. Those girls are high maintenance. They're expensive. They're not genuine. They care more about themselves. I'm pretty, but I'm not Kim Kardashian pretty, and I never wish to be. I've tried to do makeup like her, and I cannot pull that shit up. You gotta be too much effort.
And not just too much effort, but it's also, there's a lot of girls who are like, I'm gonna put on all this stuff, and I also can't mess my hair up, which speaks to like, if you can't mess up your hair for very long, you don't shower. Get the fuck away from me.
That's true. If you got that weave in there that's taking too long, you can't wash that every day. You just can't.
Right. So maybe we'll go a few more minutes if you're down with that.
Sure. I'm having a great time.
Right. So what's your, if you're willing to, like, was there anything that specifically tipped you off, or was it realizing, or was it like natural? Do you feel like that's something when it was growing in your body, you were like, oh, I have to protect myself. I have to protect my family. I have to, what do you think it was for you? Was it a conscious effort? Was it a story on the news? What was it for you or do you feel like it really was just something natural that came up in you when you got pregnant?
Kind of both. Being pregnant changes your brain chemistry. I swear, everything. I see the world a lot differently now. And then, of course, with the media and or more Facebook than the actual media, but discussing all of the child sex trafficking and all of this, having a girl scares the living shit out of me, because I know what it's like to be a girl. I know the dangers of being a girl. I know that I've been getting catcalled and hit on since I was 12 years old. Still a child, and not understanding why people are approaching me like this, why grown men are looking at me the way that they are. And there was just something instinctual of, I need to make the world a safer place because I'm bringing somebody into this, and any part that I can do to do that, I wanted to be a part of it.
Mm-hmm. Is there also a piece of you that wants to maybe, like, I don't know, is there an ultimate goal for you? Do you feel like, okay, I'm going to do this thing, and then I also want to, be a part of like defense classes, or take defense classes, or teach defense classes, or?
There's definitely a goal. I want to be able to do this full time. That's my end goal. Something that I'm passionate about, that I can wake up every morning, give 15 hours a day of my time to, that I actually, that goal. You'll never work a day in your life if you're doing something that you love. So with that comes, yes, the events, yes, self-defense training to get me trained on how to defend myself if I find that I don't have any of my self-defense weapons with me. Teaching that, giving, maybe volunteering at like a women's center for abuse victims. And there's so many different ways to help out, and I want to do it. I want to help. I've been a victim of sexual assault. I have been in an abusive relationship in the past. I have done all of that, and I'm finally at the point where I don't feel like a victim anymore. And I also haven't had it as bad as so many other women. So if I can help out to help them not feel like a victim anymore, then that's a job well done, in my opinion. If I have to work 2 jobs for the rest of my life but still do this because I am helping one person, makes me feel like I did something, like I did my part to help them. And that's all that matters.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's a big kind of bugaboo for me. Like, I had a relationship a couple years ago. I used to be, which I think is natural for most dudes in their 20s, but I was like, I'm never going to have kids,
Right.
And I had a relationship where I was like, fuck, I could kind of see myself having a kid with this person. Like I could see, do I want a kid? Oh my God, do I really want to? And then I got out of that relationship, and like maybe a year later, I remember I was like, was not expecting this fucking feeling. But I was walking down the street and I saw this, I don't know if it was a little boy or a little girl, like with their dad. And I was like, my heart just was like, oh, I was like, fuck, dude, I really want a kid. This is gross. I don't want this.
Yeah.
This.
When did this happen?
Disgusting. Right. And so, you know, I don't know, man, like a lot of, so it is a big thing of mine. Like when I know, whether they're a friend of mine or a girlfriend of mine or whatever, like if I know a girl is going to be going out of town or going on a trip, I'm like, get a fucking weapon. Like, don't be cavalier. I don't want girls to ever feel like they're afraid, but I don't think we're going to breed out humanness anytime soon. Sorry. I don't think there's a culture, like we're doing better than we ever fucking have. And kudos for us. But part of, don't be cannon fodder. Don't be like, well, I'm a statistic. We're on our way to doing better. So that means I'm just going to jog at 5 o'clock in the morning, just saying, fuck it. You know what I mean? Like, bitch, protect yourself. It bothers me.
Yeah, in a perfect world, that would be wonderful. But we don't live in a perfect world. And we never will live in a perfect world. Perfection doesn't exist. There will always be creeps out there. Can we be more vigilant? Sure. But are we going to ever stop these things from happening? Or not from these things from happening, but from those people wanting to attack you and do that? No. But can we prevent us from, or making ourselves a harder target to attack? Absolutely. But yeah, you know, you gotta, continue. Sorry, nope. That was my little 2 cents.
No, I appreciate that. I forgot what the fuck I was gonna say. I'm sure it was very profound.
No, jogging at 5 a.m., you know, giving a fuck.
Right. And I feel like part of that, because you're very minded for this. You are not afraid of having conversation, which is what I love about people who even disagree with me. Don't tell me I'm not allowed to say whatever the fuck I want. Don't tell me I'm not allowed to think whatever, believe whatever the fuck I want. We all need to come to the table. Mm-hmm. Now, as far as the cavalierness, I believe, only comes from protected white girls. Now, what I mean by that, do you ever listen to Camille Paglia?
I don't.
Camille Paglia is the first wave feminist. She gets in a lot of, hot water, which she doesn't give a fuck about. She's too smart. She's this little lesbian teacher. What's the word for teacher when it's a university? Something with a P.
Professor?
Thank you. She's she's, I think, probably in her early 60s now. But yeah, she's a fucking badass, and she's really smart. And one of the things she's talked about is catcalls, and how when catcalls happen in the hood with a more working class, person, females there are a lot more apt to handle it. Meaning, fuck you, motherfucker. Like they're not sheltered little birds in a cage. And we've done a great job in raising white girls to feel safe. We want them to feel safe, but not where someone catcalling makes them feel unsafe. You know what I mean? If a guy's, that's why a lot of black guys are more apt to do the catcalling or like whatever, because they're used to it as part of the culture to be like, oh, I'm going to push a little bit, and this girl's going to be like, whatever. You know what I mean? Like they're much more, they're in their bodies. They're comfortable, right?
Right.
How do you feel like maybe, I don't know, it's a weird question to be like, how do we breed it out of white girls so that they feel less safe? That's not what I'm saying. But do you understand what I'm saying? Like we can't, it can't be hubris. It can't be just like, oh, fuck it, jogging at 5 o'clock in the morning, where it's the same type of us sheltering ourselves so much that when we hear outside contrary opinions, we think it's hate, when really it's just a contrary opinion. You know what I mean? So what do you think is part of the solution for that, if there is one?
I don't. It's about exposure. That's part of the problem. I am a white woman, and I grew up in I grew up as a minority. Let's just put it that way. I grew up in the hood of Sacramento, North Highlands. I still live there to this day. And like I said, I've been getting catcalled since I was 12. And my response when I was 12 was, I'm 12, you perv. You know, I grew up knowing, because my mom made those responses. People that are the rich white, oh, woe is me, women grow up in suburbs where they don't have that. They don't have that exposure. So, of course, a man yelling at you outside of a car when that's never happened to you before is going to be alarming. Like, why is he yelling at me? Oh, my goodness, heavens me. Whatever will I do? You know? So it's about awareness in general. We need to have the conversation. It's an uncomfortable conversation to talk about. Sexual assault is not something that people want to talk about over brunch. You know, child sex trafficking is not something that people want to talk about or discuss. That's why it's been pushed under the rug for as long as it has. We don't want to talk about the fact that 70% of sexual assault victims were assaulted in childhood. We don't want to have these conversations. We have to have these conversations. Otherwise, you aren't prepared. You don't know. You think that things will never happen to you. No one that has been kidnapped or raped thought that that was going to happen to them. It's one of those things where I never thought that this was going to happen to me. So how do you better prepare yourself? I have anxiety, so I prepare for everything in my life, the good, the bad, the ugly. I like to think of every situation before I leave the house. Okay, what if I start my period? Grab my stuff. What if I don't feel good? What if my feet start hurting in these heels? I got my shoes. What if I get attacked? I have my stun gun. It's simple as that. It's preparing yourself for the worst and hope that it doesn't happen.
I also think it's conversation. You know, not
yeah, we got to talk about it.
Right, you made a good point. But part of the conversation, meaning the idea of what I'm trying to put across here, is let boys talk. That's part of the conversation. A lot of the conversation, you know, maybe also on the race angle is like, white people don't get to talk. It's like, no, wait, no. We all need to come to the table so that you know where my fucking intentions are. The less we hear from other people, the more we distrust their opinions and the more we dehumanize them, because it's an us and them mentality. We cannot afford to let that happen. Worse, yes, men, the grand scheme of men, have been fucking cunts to y'all for a hot minute, a while, right? But that doesn't mean, number one, that people who weren't a part of that, because the majority of men were not. The majority of men were not. Part of it was culture, sure. Part of it was the idea that, like, a lot of these boys or men, when they're catcalling, they don't have malicious, rapey. They may be putting that forth, and that's unfair, and we should talk to them. But a lot of guys, it's actually coming from a place of, this is the way I was shown you hit on women, and I'm having this feeling, and I'm trying to help. I want to have a conversation with this girl. Like I was saying about consent, a lot of nobody who's not a psychopath wants, like, nothing. I had sex, or I was gonna have sex with this girl one time, and she was putting up this fight, but it was a play fight, and I was in a weird mood because I've had all kinds of, you know, I've had rape fantasy sex. It's fun, but like.
As long as it's consensual, you know, that's perfectly natural.
But she was putting off those vibes, and she and I had never had sex before. So, like, why the fuck would you do that now? Like, this is like at least date 3 type of shit. You know what I mean? I'll choke you or whatever, but like this is date 3. And I was like, I couldn't even get hard. I was like, how am I supposed to do this when I'm also having to hold your fucking? And don't get me wrong, it wasn't actually rape. It was like a rape play stuff because she and I talked about it. But like. Man, like, no guy who's not a psychopath wants to be with somebody who doesn't want to be with them. Nobody is like turned on when someone is like genuinely no in a relationship, right? That's a psychopath. So there's a miscommunication. Well, you need to understand that guys often don't have a bad malicious. We are stupid or we're misinformed, just like y'all could be around a lot of other things. Stupid, misinformed, cultured, blah, blah, blah. But it's not, we're all just wanting to rape people. You know what I mean? Almost all of us don't want that. You know what I mean? Anyway.
Absolutely. And I would love, the problem with catcallers is that they're typically in a car. So it's not like I could be like, hey, pull over. I'm not like your shorty or nothing, but like, I want to ask you a question as to why you felt like that was appropriate. You know, I don't get the opportunity to really talk. And if it is, it just makes people feel uncomfortable. It's not something that we as women do to you as men. And every time it happens to me, in the back of my head, because I'm in some nice clothes, some nice shoes, I got a purse on, my hair's done, my makeup's done. What part of you thought that would get me? Like, is that your goal? Is that your version of complimenting me? Is that what you think we want to hear? Are you trying to get me to go on a date with you? What is the intention? Because all of the result is making me feel uncomfortable. And I can't speak for every woman. I'll tell you that it is really nice, because since I've been pregnant, I feel like a potato. Like I said, went to the gas station, had no makeup on, and this guy was like, "You're beautiful. I hope you have a good day." And I got in my car and I was like, "Fuck yeah, I'm beautiful." Still, I still got it. So there are times. It is really, women are weird. I mean, it's all about how it makes you feel, because even getting hit on in a bar, it's either creepy or cute, depending on if you're interested. Two different guys can say the exact same thing, and one can come off creepy as shit, and one can come off endearing.
Please, girls, please understand that even though it's natural, that's fucking unfair. Please understand. I'm not saying let's all change and you need to have sex with people you don't want to have sex with, but the goddamn same animus that's in Chris Farley, or better example, that's in Kevin James, is in Brad Pitt. Just because it's like, ooh, Brad Pitt said I'm beautiful. Oh, Kevin James, beautiful? Stop being a little, ew. Sorry, girls, you're going to have to please understand. Come from a place of understanding. I'm not saying don't put up boundaries or accept advances. I'm saying understand that shit is hard for dudes. Like you said, one of the things that guys do that girls never do to guys is catcalling. Wonderful. You know what's something that girls do to guys the guys never really, that even when we do to girls, it doesn't poke as deep, is the dick size shit. Nothing. I know you guys have body image issues. Absolutely. Nothing can fuck a dude up as much as like hearing that they have a tiny pee-pee. Motherfucker. There's something that breaks their body down. Okay. There's something that, and not just that, even better example, more universal example. You said guys need to fish and that gets them a low quality. Yeah, but how do you think this shit happens anyway? You think I'm just going to wait until I find somebody? No, no matter where we are at in the dating world, it takes not 100, but let's say it takes fucking 25 line casts before you find one fucking. That's not an experience you all have to deal with. It's just goddamn not.
No, not at all.
It's fair for you in different ways, but have some understanding. That's all I'm fucking saying.
I do want some clarification. What do you mean about the dick size thing? That women say that to men?
Even if you don't. Dick size, even culturally, is like sometimes, I've definitely heard guys, as an example, girls will be mad at a guy that they've been with and say, well, your fucking dick's smaller.
Okay.
Well, that type of shit. There's something that hurts us. I've never had it happen to me because I got a real nice piece, but but there's something that infects us and it stays with us. And girls, the mental ninjas, know that.
That's what I was going to say, how you brought up the boys wreck the house, the women wreck the brain. That's what that is. I've never said that personally, but I can understand how in the heat of a moment in a fight, that's our biggest defense. And it's not fair. It's just the truth. Our biggest defense is fucking with you guys mentally. We say shit to hurt. I walk away when I get in arguments with my man because that's always my motive when I'm in a fight is I will crush your spirit and make you feel how I feel, damn it. And it's not fair at all. But so you're absolutely right in that. And that's why I think that we do need just more understanding of each other and why I'm so grateful to have this conversation. So many things that you have said that I have never even thought about remotely in my head.
Right. And it's great that we get to hear more from you. It's great that you guys have now, not just with voting, but all kinds of shit that women are being heard more, right? But just as a closing note, like, we do need to say you're in a shitty relationship and the guy maybe cheats or the girl cheats or whoever. And sometimes, maybe cheating isn't a great example, but there's other things where, like, the guy does something, or one of the two people in the fucking relationship does something that breaks trust. There's either a way that you can get over it and stay coupled, or there's not. And sometimes couples move forward, but there's always that thing in the back of their head that will go, yeah, but that one time you blah, blah, blah. And they will use that to push and to knee jerk. And no matter how many times you try to heal it, maybe with a boyfriend, or a boyfriend tries to do it with a girlfriend or wife or husband, no matter how many times you try to pay for it, no matter how many times you try to make it right, no matter how many conversations, there's just something broken there's a schism there, and you just can't make it right, and you have to let it go. One of the hurt party sometimes has to just fucking let it go. Otherwise you're gonna, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that happens in a relationship, and I'm not even saying that that's necessarily where we're at, but I think it's a part of it. We can't make up. Not only are a lot of the motherfuckers who did the horrible shit not fucking alive, we weren't the ones who did it, but, like, we're trying to listen. Some guys are trying to listen so much that they have they're so afraid of girls, and they listen so hard to girls that they're dishonest about their manhood, and they just give it up completely. They roll on their back and show their belly, and girls will take advantage, right? And girls will not be attracted to them. They'll have 2-3 sex partners their whole fucking lives. That's how much we're trying to fucking listen to you. But at a certain point, ladies, as much as you do have to give us, we do have to, I think part of that solution is just to go, like, you know what? We have made it a long time. We have made it a far ways. We have progressed. And maybe the other side of both guys and girls, maybe the other side is not bad intentioned or stupid or broken. I think if we give each other understanding and love, that's the way we move forward. But if it's always going to be, I have this knife, he doesn't have this knife, I still feel hurt, I'm going to stab him whenever we get into that. You don't get to have a conversation. You don't get to say anything. What about the time you wouldn't let us vote? What about this? What about that? What about it? I'm not saying that, you know what I'm saying? Like, we need to fucking give each other a little bit of fucking rope if we're going to move forward.
We need to stop blaming people who had nothing to do with that. I have never not been able to vote. So why is that my fight to fight? You have never made it impossible for me to have a job personally because you're a man, just because that's how it was. They already fought that fight. That's why we're where we're at.
I mean, when I was working with you at Dick's, I would have tried to get you fired, but no. Continue.
But it's also the understanding. I think that feminism has, I won't say that I'm a feminist, and it's not that I don't believe that women, deserve equal pay or anything. I think I'm not a feminist of today. Feminism is about equality across the board, not women are better than men. And I feel like that's where it's being taken right now. And yeah, for equal pay for equal work is 100% something that should be happening. But at the same time, the mom's gender role is more than likely to take care of a kid. So if you have Scott, who has no kids and works 65 hours a week at the office, and Susan, who has the same job title but has to do doctor's appointments and parent-teacher conferences and is missing time at work, I do think that Scott deserves he does more work throughout the day. Why would Susan be getting just as much money? I do believe that we are different. We as women can do so many things that men can't, and men can do so many things that women can't. And that it's our differences that make us compatible. It's what makes the world go round. And we need to stop having a war between men versus women and have a war together where we are one part of the clock that keeps this world turning. Right. There's so much division in this country right now, and it's very frustrating because we are all here together. This is our world. Why are we making it harder on ourselves than it has to be? Let's have the conversation. Let's have the understanding of where everybody's coming from. If you can stop looking at something and that someone disagreeing with you as an attack on yourself, but even if you don't accept what the person is saying, but you can wrap your head around and understand why they feel the way they do or why they're saying what they're saying, I think the world would be a better place.
Right. Awesome. We'll end on that. Thank you. It's been awesome. Please plug, if you want to plug a website or if you want to plug unless you want to wait, that's fine. But do you want anybody to follow you maybe on, do you have like a Damsel Instagram? Do you have anything you want to plug? It's fine.
Yeah. So, like I said, I sell self-defense products. They're more tailor-made towards the female demographic, but men are more than welcome to purchase. Also, I have a website. It's defensedarling.com. Follow me on Instagram at defensedarling and Facebook under the same name, Defense Darling. I have a page on there as well. Always messaging people back. Always open to communicate and have a conversation. So check me out.
Awesome, Zoe. So wherever you're listening, boys and girls, make sure you subscribe. If you're listening on YouTube, make sure you hit the heart or hit the bell, not just hit subscribe. And leave a review, rate it, share it with your friends, and find me on Instagram at Peter_Feliciano, Conservatish on TikTok, and patreon.com/conservatish. Thank you so much, Zoe. I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me, Peter. It was good to see you.
Awesome. So I'll go ahead and stop recording here.